Hey, YouTube. I decided to try and do a quick gun review. My first one I ever tried to do. I do have a lot of different pistols and long guns, so maybe as time goes I'll try to do more. But basically, this would be my first attempt at it. This is my brand new Kimber TLE RL2 in 45 ACP. Just got it last week here in New Jersey. It is close to the end of March. I decided I wanted this gun probably in December, in late November. So you can see how long it took me to acquire it. Not because I didn't have the money or the time to go do it, more because of the great demand out there right now has been slowing down the process, the entire process for New Jersey. A little bit of pain in the butt. You have a firearms ID card which allows you to buy handguns, or actually long guns and ammunition. When you want to buy a pistol, you actually need to go to your local police department and apply for a pistol permit. Typically you get them within 30 days. I started that process, and this is just for any New Jersey people who are curious how long it takes. It did start that process February, so it took 2 months for the police department to even call me back. Once they did call me back and we processed the permits, it took approximately 40 days to receive the permit. And once I got the permit, I was able to go down to the store and purchase it. Now, the store that I went to, my local gun shop, was nice enough to let me purchase the gun as soon as I actually requested my permits. So they did hold the gun for that 40 days. What was good about that was the guns are going off the shelves, and I wanted to make sure I got the gun I wanted. So I was able to purchase this, and I was actually able to go there and shoot it. And they would just keep the gun there until they were able to transfer it to me. After that 40 days, I was able to go there with my permit. We have the NICS background check, which is supposed to be instant, has been delayed by our state. They don't do it over the phone anymore. They do it by fax. I want to say in January it was like a 3-day wait. For me, it was almost 10 days. So I just got this gun last Thursday. I did put a number of rounds through it actually before they transferred it to me. And on Friday, or I guess yesterday, Saturday, I went to the range, put probably about 200 rounds through it. I don't know. I think I'm in the middle as far as Kimbers go. They're very tight guns. They're very nice. When you do all the research, you'll see that a lot of people complain they jam a lot when they first get them, and it looks to be as either you have a problem and you contact Kimber and they will send you a new slide release, which and this takedown pin here and the slide lock, that seems to be a problem that causes some failures, or you get one that works perfectly. Mine, I put a couple different types of ammo through it. There was some Federal Gold Match, which right now is very expensive, and some Blazer aluminum case, and some various hollow points I tried. Everything went through this gun perfectly. Where I did have failures, and I had quite a few, were with the Blazer aluminum, the aluminum case Blazer, the cheap Blazer ammo. I did have a few stovepipes. It happened with a bunch of different magazines. I bought some Kimber Pro TLE mags, and I bought some. What else did I buy? I'm trying to think of the name. Wilson combat mags. Those, everything fed perfectly. The failures I had were with all different magazines, so I attribute it to the ammunition. I think I may buy another box of that ammo after the gun's broken a little bit and see if it can feed them reliably after that. And it was actually just extracting them weird. Those particular bullets were, the brass was bouncing off my head, landing on my arm. With all the other ammo I was using, it was extracting them, what I believe to be as proper, probably about, off my right shoulder, about 3 or 4 feet. It was working flawlessly for that. So here is the gun. I guess now that I'm handling it, I will show you that. Let's get this out of here. I will show you that it is in a safe condition. It is empty. Can't see my viewfinder, so I don't know if you can see it. There's no round in there. There is no mag in there. I see no reason to ever have a mag in there unless I'm going to use it. So it is empty, and for this purpose, we'll leave it locked back. Let me try and face it here for you. So the only modifications so far that I've done to this gun are the grips and the grip screws. Those are VZ grips. I highly recommend them. I did use the stock grips the first few times I shot it, because obviously with the gun store owning the gun, I wasn't allowed to put any parts on it. The VZ grips were the rubber grips that came with it were black. They were actually pretty grippy and pretty nice. After about 100 rounds, and if you start to warm up and your hands get a little sweaty, they do become a little slippery. These things here really have some bite, but not as much bite as to where when you're on this thing that it tears up your skin or anything. I do see videos on people sanding them down, smoothing them out a little bit. If that's something you want to do, you certainly can do that, and it would probably ease any of the bite. I particularly like that bite. I feel like I have a little more control over the weapon. This is my first 1911, so it's very hard for me to compare the difference between this gun and any other one. I can say that all my other polymer pistols, besides maybe my Ruger revolver, this is the nicest trigger pull out of all of them. It's a light trigger pull, maybe 4.5 pounds, and it is very crisp. The polymer guns are kind of spongy, and they have a lot of take up. This one here, we already know the gun's safe, so we can see there's just a little bit of, and I believe that's called take up. If it's not slack, whatever you want to call it, it's that little portion there. And I kind of like that. It's kind of like a two-stage, so you can set up on there, and then the next time it moves the slightest bit, this gun is firing. So it's pretty nice. And if you want to see the reset, we can rack it. The reset here is pretty short. We're already on it, and I can fire it again. So very nice trigger. I'm sure the more expensive guns that are out there probably maybe even have nicer triggers. When first thing I did, and that was thanks to all the YouTube reviewers out there, was completely take this thing down. It was, I noticed there was editing in those videos, and I just did a short video, about the field strip, but completely taking it down was interesting. I was able to do it by referring to other YouTube videos, and I was able to get it back together and getting it function properly. One thing I did run into that no one really told me was the placement of the sear spring, the 3-finger sear spring in there, and maybe one day I will actually do a video of that full takedown, an unedited version, so you can see the parts where you do have trouble. The videos on YouTube cut real quick and edit, and then so I think it's better that you actually see that ooh, this is where I have trouble, and this is how long it may take me to get it right. Of course, if the video runs 2 hours for me to get this back together, there will be some edit involved, but I'd like to speak to that because as a beginner to gunsmithing this type of gun, it's good to see that so you can learn from the mistakes other people made. So I did rip it down. One of the hardest parts of it is getting your sear and your disconnector back together in there, which was tricky, and also there's a very strong spring in your mainspring housing here. There are videos out there if you want to see what that looks like at this time, but putting that back together was the toughest part. So anyway, back to the gun, because that may be why you came here. This is a 4-inch model. It's still full size in this dimension. So if you want to see the dimensions, you go on the website, you can get the numbers. I don't feel like giving you numbers, but this is full size here, so it takes the full size mag. Where it is smaller is in the barrel length, so your sight radius is a little shorter. The custom model is 1 inch longer. This is the Pro. There's the Ultra, which is a 3-inch and a shorter. So this is like the middle. If I could compare it to my other two guns, it's kind of in between my Glock 17, which is a full-size Glock, and my M&P 40 Compact. So that's the reason I bought it. It kind of fills the gap there. It would be a good carry gun, and I wanted something in 45 ACP. So it does come with, and if I can try and get the viewfinder here, I will. It does come with the Mepro light sights. They glow in the dark, and to be honest with you, they actually glow pretty good. But to be honest with you, the night sights, while they are effective, I probably have a flashlight or something on this that I would not need those to glow in the dark. It's usually when it's so dark that those things work, you can't see your target anyway. You may see a silhouette or something, but I am not. That's probably the lowest priority for my weapons is knowing, if I'm going to use it to shoot at people. I just enjoy working on them, cleaning them, and shooting them, and target shooting. To be honest, this would not be just because even though it was, I relate it to an ammunition problem. This gun hasn't proven itself to me to be a good nightstand gun anyway, because I did have a failure. My Glock 17's got thousands and thousands of rounds through it, all different types of ammunition, and it's never had a failure, so I kind of trust that gun the most. This gun maybe in time will prove itself to me in that way, but at this time it has. Oh, careful. So, and this will just show you that I am an amateur video maker, and I don't plan to edit any of those weird things out, because you know what, it's good to see that we're all human, and I want to learn as I go along here. I'm trying to get the lighting right and everything. So anyway, some of the options that are on here that make this a Kimber custom, I'll try and go through them real quickly. It comes with the aluminum trigger that's kind of skeletonized, and the hammer. It does have an extended magazine release here. I don't know if the safety is extended. I've never had another one. It may very well be. It's very crisp. It, definitely lets you know that you have it on and off. We went over the trigger, which is a nice trigger pull. And that's pretty much it. Oh, it has checkering on the front strap, which some guns don't have. This here you can see is rounded off nice for a carry gun, and it has the rail. From what I read about the rail, this is a nice benefit. It adds a little weight to the front of the gun, so it helps you with the muzzle flip, and also helps you with adding strength to the front portion of this frame. I guess if you shoot a gun enough, it will break. I doubt I will run through enough ammo in this thing to ever see anything fail on it, but never know. So from what I read, that the extra meat that's up here in this frame, it's an all steel frame, so it makes the gun a little heavier and stronger. This added steel up here to accommodate the accessory rail is supposed to make that front end stronger. So, and that's pretty much it. If you do have any other questions about this gun that I may be able to address, leave a comment, or send me a message, and I will try to do that for you. But I go through, let's see, just run through the prices. I was looking at a SR 1911 by Ruger, which was around $800. I didn't really want to spend more than $1,500. There was this gun, and there was a Kimber, I can't remember, a Covert 2, which was an all-black gun, which had the crimson trace grips with the laser, and it was like digital camo. That gun was pretty. It was a full-size gun, 5-inch barrel. It was a pretty gun. I held them both. This one just felt better in my hand, even though the guns are nearly identical. And I realized I was paying $350 for a laser, and just not that big on the laser, so I decided to get the gun I wanted, put my own grips on it, minus the laser, and save myself almost $300-400. So this ended up being out the door, and I probably overpaid for it because there's other places in the country where I see these guns go for different prices, but mine was $11.25 with the tax. It was like $12.50, and our background check is like $15. So I bought like 4 or 5 mags for it. I do recommend, and I'll just speak to that. What comes in the box is pretty much what you're looking at. You get the gun, and you get one, and I don't have it here because I usually don't keep the magazines near. You get one regular black Kimber magazine. What's funny is the Kimber magazine, it's the cheapest one they make. I've seen that. Let me just pull the bullets out of this one. It is a very cheap magazine. It doesn't have a skirted follower. So if you look at this, and what that means is right here you can see the follower actually goes down into the frame of the magazine, and what that does, it makes it tilt, and I guess that's what gives it reliability issues. Let me just pull this open real quick. If you wanted to see the box, this is the box it comes in. It says Kimber on it. It is a nice box, but it really comes with nothing. You get a little owner's manual. You get a takedown pin. Let's see And the reason for that takedown pin is because this gun right here, and don't worry, you won't get shot, doesn't have the typical, if you watch other 1911 videos, doesn't have the typical bushing that goes in here that you have to push real hard and swing to the side. This is a bull barrel, and it's bushingless. So this takedown pin, if you want to see real quick, I'll show you. This takedown pin goes right in here. There's a hole, right, and that allows you to take the pressure off the guide rod assembly, thus making it easy to disassemble the weapon. So what I was actually doing off camera here, and I guess most people would stop the video and restart it, but I'm just going to keep talking. I don't have the, I thought I had the stock magazine. Anyway, the stock magazine, like I said, it's black. It's only a 7-round. This is an 8-round. This is a Wilson Combat. You may be able to see that on there, yes. And the biggest thing is the follower. It's just smoother, like when you could just feel it, and they work good. Now I can tell you, I did not have any reliability issues with the stock mag, but from what I read on the internet, that was the first thing I did was buy mags, and that mag, I can tell you now, I don't even know where it is, because it's just not important to me. Real quick, I will show you the grips that did come on the gun. They're a rubber, kind of rubbery double diamond, and they were, let's see here. So the gun, this is pretty much what the gun looked like when I got it stock. Slide this around. So, I thought that was a nice touch. VZ grips, I'll tell you, you'll drive yourself nuts. They're good grips. They're expensive. They're around $65. I think it was $15 for these screws. I thought it added a nice touch to it. They have so many options that you will drive yourself nuts trying to figure out which ones you want. It's hard to imagine them on your pistol, so I recommend if you go to Google, you do the image search, you put in VZ grips, and try to find either if your gun's stainless or if your gun's black like this one, try to scroll through and find those particular grips on the gun, and it may help you make that decision. These were, when I looked at them, I actually got them on Amazon, but they still came from VZ grips. When I try and get a little closer so you can see, these are the operator 2s. They looked a lot darker. I'm actually glad when I got them. They kind of have a lighter redness to them than I thought, and I've been impressed with them. I think it adds a little more personality to this firearm, and makes it a little more mine. So that's pretty much it. I don't know how everybody does all these reviews. If they work off a checklist or something, they probably do. But if you want to leave a comment, I don't have many people who watch these videos anyway. It actually helps me remember the things about my gun, so that's why I think I'm going to do them. But if there's an item on here, or there's something you want me to speak to, or comparison, I do own a few. I own a revolver, and I own a few other polymer type striker fired pistols. So I do have a lot of experience with them, and there's probably things I can compare. I'll tell you this, the 45 ACP round, if this is your first time buying one, you may be under the impression that they are very, there's a lot of recoil and they're very snappy. I can tell you this, you'll be very surprised, and it's probably because of the weight of the gun compared to the polymer pistols. It's such a heavy gun that it really soaks up that recoil. I was cringing. I had a 1 foot back, a different kind of stance, thinking like this thing's gonna pop out of my hand, and I pulled the trigger, and I was pleasantly surprised. And in my opinion, it does run at lower pressures. The 45 ACP runs at lower pressures than the 40. And the 40 Smith & Wesson, and I have a smaller gun of 40 that it punches me in the hand, and it actually starts to chew my hand up after 50 or 80 rounds. So it, in my opinion, has less recoil than the 40 ACP. So I think that's about as long as I want this video to be. I hope you got some sort of information out of here that will help you make a decision on purchasing this particular firearm or a similar firearm. I hope it's helpful. Anyway, thank you. Leave any comments if you want to see more of this gun. Thank you.